I think we'll call this meeting to order. In fact, I'm sure we will. I think we're all here, so there's no one excused from the meeting. We're live, aren't we, Todd?
Yes, good morning again. We are currently live.
Thank you, everyone. Council has a copy of the agenda. Any changes or additions to the agenda? If not, a motion to approve the agenda would be in order. Amanda, all in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Move to item 3.1, the minutes of our June 9th council meeting. Are there any errors or omissions noted in the minutes? There are things that need to be altered? If not, a motion to approve the minutes of the June 9th meeting. Lynette, all in favor of that motion, please indicate. That is carried. Are there any? Sorry, I got my order mixed up here. I'm not sure if that'll change the tilt of the Earth's rotation or not, but I expect it won't. If are there any? I think we already agreed that there was nothing to add to the agenda, so we'll move on to question period. Anyone have questions out in the electronic media? Or notices of motion?
We have four wonderful viewers.
Sorry, Todd.
Sorry about that. We have four wonderful viewers, but nobody has asked a question.
Okay. Thank you, Todd. With that, we'll bounce around a little bit in our agenda because there are some factors that matters on our agenda that are time sensitive. So we'll move to item number 10.1, administrative business. Select the date, Municipal Development Plan Council visioning session. Please go ahead.
Hello. So the Planning and Development Department is starting the process of a municipal development plan, the review of it. And for the purpose of this review, we need to schedule a council visioning session. So we recommend 2 weeks at the end of July, the week of July 18th or the 25th. And we recommend two dates and times for that. So July 19th at 9 a.m. or at 1 p.m. or July 27th at 9 a.m. or 1 p.m. And the council may decide to select another date within those 2 weeks if they so choose.
Thank you, Zachary. My own preference would probably be July 27th, but what does council think of that?
I'm actually at a convention the first 3 days of the 17th to the 20th, so I'm not available that week or the beginning of that week.
So is that a motion to approve?
I would make a motion that we choose July 27th.
Okay, go ahead.
I hope not to be able to attend. I hope to actually be off the farm for a change, so okay. I would not be attending if my life goes the way I'd like it to go.
Is there are there alternate dates that have been considered?
And you may choose any dates within those 2 weeks. So, yeah, you can definitely go ahead and suggest an alternate date.
Okay, is there?
Friday the 22nd, the day after County Council. I know it's a Friday, but we're probably around. Being it's summer, people like to have a fairly more flexible schedule.
The suggestion is for Friday, July 22nd?
That doesn't work for me.
Doesn't work? Is there another way that we can deal with this, like maybe a polling? Go ahead. Well, or is it? Oh, go ahead, please.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay, thank you. Any other?
July 15th?
15th is not good for me. How about July 18th? It's a Monday. No, that week is not good. Okay. How would July the 25th work? Monday, July 25th? No? Let's, I guess it's a possibility that we won't all be able to be there then, simply. How about July the 20th? Pardon me. Holly?
I'm just wondering if it needs to be in July. It seems it's a holiday month. Can we leave it, or I'm just wondering why it's in the summer?
We're just trying to fit in the council visiting session within the time period of really the scheduling for the entire process. So to fit into the entire process, this time is the one that fits best.
Okay, thank you. July 22nd, I mean, all of those dates are going to be tough, so I'm going to say early in the week, July the 25th, 9 o'clock in the morning. Is that acceptable? And I realize that it's less than ideal if we can't all be there, but I think that's going to be the reality maybe for the summer months. 27th? There are some potential conflicts on the 27th as well. 26th maybe would be more for me. How about July 26th, 9 o'clock in the morning? All in favor of July 26th at 9 a.m.? Okay, we'll go with that. And if we need to change some more, we may do that. But thank you. Zachary, is there more to add to this? Or?
No, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much for bringing that to our attention. Okay, thank you. We will move to 7.1. Jeff, you're going to take us through Bylaw 2033-22-22, land use amendment, right? Go ahead, Jeff.
That's correct. Thank you very much. I'm here representing Maria today. She's taking a course and is unavailable. Today we are looking to receive third reading for Bylaw 2033-22, which is a bylaw to redesignate a portion of the subject parcel from the Agricultural General District to the Industrial General District as shown in the attached Schedule A. So we'll only be rezoning the portion of the parcel that is needed for this development. The development it's being redesignated for is a power generation and data center operation for which MPC earlier approved the development permit, and a requirement of that is to provide third and final reading of the land use amendment. The land use amendment was tabled at the last council meeting at the request of the EID so they could get their lease arrangement in order with this company, and I understand that is taken care of, and now we're going to request the council give it third reading to redesignate the lands.
Thank you, Jeff. You've given us the background. Council have any questions or direction for us with regard to that land use amendment? Adina, please.
I move we do third reading on this.
Thank you. Motion to approve third reading. All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
With that, I'm going to suggest that we move on to item number 9.1, agriculture services business. ASB resolution report card. Todd, you have provided us a summary and also assessment or status assessment of all of the ASB resolutions that we have looked at in the past. Do you have any other comments that need to be added to those? And I guess I'll ask you first for comments, and then pending that, I'm going to suggest or ask if council has any questions on specific resolutions. I'm going to suggest that we don't go through each one individually as we have given them that attention in the past. So go ahead, Jeff. Any comments for us with regard to that? Todd, I'm sorry. Jeff was just here before. Sorry, Todd.
That's okay. I was hoping Jeff had some comments.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I have any extra comments. I believe the ASB Provincial Committee has given this some good thought, and their recommendations are very fair. Um, I think, in my opinion, we would be in a position to respond with the report card as they have indicated.
Thank you. Are there questions? Kelly?
Not a question. I was thinking of making a motion to option number 2, accept the report card recommendations from the ASB Provincial Committee.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Are there any questions or comments subject to the direction that Kelly's given us? Any questions? Anything else that needs to be cleared up? If not, all in favor of the motion, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you, Todd. And let's move on to item number 9.3, the Rural Beautification Awards. Do you want to just take us through that quickly, Todd? Thank you.
Sure, thank you. The Rural Beautification Program has been operating for many, many years. It's a wonderful program, just geared towards a small thank you for people putting the effort into their yards, beautifying them, and thus beautifying the county of Newell. We have two things to discuss a little bit, I guess, today. Is the policy itself is always nice to go through and determine if there's a need for any changes. I think the policy works well. It might not be perfect, but I think it works to try to guide us in how to judge the yards. We tend to get between 8 and kind of 12 nominations each season, and it's really, really hard to pick just 3 winners. Certainly every yard is beautiful in its own way, and we would love to give out an award to each one, but that is not how this program is geared. So if we're okay with going ahead with the policy as is, I think it would be reasonable to make that motion, and I would appreciate if we had a council judge that would be willing to help judge with us on, what is it, the third week of July.
Thank you, Todd. I think we'll first of all deal with the program in general. Everyone comfortable with that as it has been dealt with in the past, or are there any suggestions for anything other than that, or questions? Dan, please.
In the policy, it says that there's a personalized gift or whatnot. I was just curious, is there a budget line item for something like this, or if there is, how much that is? Just a curiosity point for me.
That's a great
answer to that.
I do. I'm very intimate with this program. I am lucky to be the one that gets to offer it from our team. So we stopped doing metal gate signs about 10 years ago. They kind of doubled in price. We then moved into a personalized, maybe you would want to call it like an ornament, but like a little wheelbarrow that was personalized with, the Rural Beautification Program, first place, second place, third place, and then the name of the people that won. And we've since been working with Shadar Cabinets, and they actually make us a really nice, it's a green and kind of a pale yellow gate sign, and it has, same thing as the old metal signs. They're about $200 a piece. So that was a long ways to say yes, about $200 a piece.
Okay. Thanks, Todd. You have a follow-up, Dan?
No, I'd just like to make a motion to leave the policy as it, what is it there? Yep, option number 2, leave the policy.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion indicated that's passed, carried. Thank you, Dan. And thank you, Todd. I think that completes your business.
I just need some
except for the judge. Yeah. Yes, we need an adjudicator. Holly, please.
I'm just wondering if the fact that you just planned the visioning on July 26th is an issue because it's also the day the tour is, if anybody's involved, and I'm not sure how it works. Kelly, you would know if it's a conflict or not.
That's a good point. Thank you, Holly. Todd, we have just scheduled a meeting for July 26th. Does that conflict with the judging tour?
That's a good question. The judging actually happens 1 week before. So the 26th is the tour that we take garden enthusiasts around to the winning yards. We have a wonderful day. We eat snacks, we visit, we talk with the landowners that have won. But the judging happens on the Monday, Tuesday before. So that would be the 19th, 18th, 19th.
Okay, so that's not a conflict, is what you're saying. Thank you. Do we have, Lynette, did you have a comment or a question?
I would volunteer to judge if nobody else does.
That's perfect. Thank you. All in favor that Lynette become the judge for 2022 on behalf of council? That is carried unanimously. Thank you for that. And that, I think, concludes your presentation this morning, correct, Todd?
That is correct. Thank you very much.
Thank you. With that, I'm going to suggest that we continue on our agenda. We do have a scheduled item at 10:45, so we have a few minutes. We'll carry on to item 10.2, Town Hall on federal funding for rural communities. Matt, do you want to?
Yeah, I'll take that one away. So we've received this letter that's in your package here, the shadow opposition, and they're looking to spend some time with you if you're interested in spending some time with them, all about lobbying the feds for some fair and robust funding for rural communities. They're asking whether you're interested in attending their forum. So that would be the first question. If the answer to that is yes, then there'd be some follow-up work for council to do in terms of answering the three most important issues impacting economic development in our region. They are interested in that information. So if council is interested first in attending the forum, we'd look for a motion on that, and then identifying those three, and I will send the information back to our friends in the capital.
Thanks, Matt. Neil, you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, after the FCM conference, there's lots of federal funding available out there. That conference was fantastic about this. I think we should jump on this.
Thank you. Do you make that a motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
That we
Go ahead.
That we participate in this, basically, right? Yeah, that's good. Any further comments or questions? All in favor of that motion, please indicate. That's carried unanimously. Thank you for that. So that we need three representatives.
Well, three most important issues impacting economic development in our region, if you can boil those down. Human capital, I think, is one suggestion. I mean, everywhere you look, we are short. We're short workers at JBS, we're short doctors, we're short veterinarians, we're short nurses. I mean, keep going, right? So we need to figure out the human capital piece would be, I think, the first piece of your puzzle.
What else? Are we comfortable just to brainstorm on this right here? I think that's reasonable. What are the other things that we should be covering?
How much an issue is rural broadband? They talk about it in here, but I mean, and Kelly often brings it up, so I'm thinking that for some is a big issue.
Go ahead, Kelly. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think business generally, agriculture is here, but to attract big business, they're going to be looking at fast internet. So to me, that's on the list, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. Are there other things? Lynette, please.
They always talk broadband, but we also have some issues with just cell coverage in this province as well.
Yeah, that's right. Communication network, period, right? Can we include that as part of the communication network that includes both cell phone and broadband coverage, right? Yeah, so that's the single one. Are there others? Dan, go ahead.
From that CPAA conference we went to, when companies are looking to move in for economic development, a couple of the things they're looking for most is the talent pool they're saying, which we've discussed, the human capital, recreation, health, and education are the other three big ones. So yeah, those other three I think are huge. Recreation in our rural communities, supporting that, access to health, which of course we're not putting for say hospitals in rolling hills, but just in general, those kind of things are what economic development are looking for.
Mm-hmm. So both healthcare and education, right? And I wonder if, like, is healthcare included under the human capital? And could we include, or how do we fit those together maybe? Because I think education is a critical aspect of this too. And also for rural Alberta, one of the things that I think has been it's been a strategy even for doctors to provide education for rural students in the hope and the pattern that they typically come back to rural communities more typically than urban young people. So are you thinking that it would be something around strategic education priorities, further education priorities? Because I know that the Alberta government has targeted that rather specifically, and I just heard a report last week about where they basically bid some additional seats in Alberta institutions, targeting 7,000, focused to faculties that would supply shortages of higher educated students, and actually got 10,000 instead of 7,000 just by bidding the process, which is a significant strategy. Disconnected, the bidding process is not connected to what we're talking about necessarily, but the importance of priority education to meet the vacancies or the shortcomings in our particularly rural communities, I think could be part of that. Lynette, please.
I'm not sure if something could be done along these lines. Saskatchewan used to have, I guess it was through the province, set up that if kids went out of province for post-secondary education, there was a tax break for them if once they were finished their post-secondary to move back into Saskatchewan. So I have no idea how it could work, but to get them to come back to a more rural center, I'm not sure where that could go, but.
And also on the fact that this is a federal initiative that we're discussing, but would it be a possibility to suggest something around healthcare and education priorities that focus on populating the needs of rural Canada, really, rural Alberta, right? Is that doable? Because it covers both healthcare and education, because the whole matter of EMS and healthcare services are under that broad umbrella, right? Both in terms of educating workers and also providing service. Go ahead, Dan, please.
Back to the four things again. So the talent pool, the recreation services, and the other two, health and education, they do fall under the jurisdiction of the provincial government. So that would be a little harder to get federal funding for. Whereas, yeah, immigration and workforce, that is under the federal government, so easier to get funding that way, and recreation services are also easier to get, and infrastructure for said items.
Thank you. Any other comments? Matt, you've probably got our conversation
well documented. Yeah, absolutely. So let me restate what I've documented so well over here. The three priorities are going to fall into the buckets of human capital, communication network, and healthcare/education for rural. And that'll get the conversation started, and it'll be interesting to see what this town hall ends up looking like. So I'll reply to these folks and let them know we're interested in getting together.
Excellent. I think that's got that covered. Greg, please.
I know there's only 3 things. I do want to bring up one other one that is important for our area, and I just want us just to realize that I want us to have a more focus, or I want the federal government to have a more focus on a balanced approach to our natural resources. Right now, on the federal side, it seems like it's very one-sided as far as clean energy goes. And I know that our natural resources are very important to our rural municipalities. So if it comes from our councils that, yeah, our natural resources are socially, economically, and clean, the cleanest in the world, I think that needs to be reiterated to our federal government.
Thank you for that. That's an excellent point, I think. Neil?
Yeah, the other big one, huge at the FCM, was climate change and what municipalities are doing to protect their citizens and their areas in preparation for what may come. I think that was huge. Every place you went, they were talking about that. I don't know how that fits into this, but
maybe within the request for balance, even at some level, it probably fits into that. Yeah. Okay. Can we move on? We have our first scheduled about a half minute early, Sherry. You ready for that? Okay. Please come on up. Thanks. 8.1. Introduction of new corporate safety services officer. Welcome, Sherry.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for letting me be here today. Sorry, but I'm going to put a slight little twist into what I have on the agenda there. My intent was to introduce you to our new safety officer, and last night in my sleep it came to me that you haven't even met my old safety officer, nor assistant. So if I can, I would like to introduce you to my corporate safety services team so that you can all put a name to a face if you haven't already met each of them. So I would like to start with my long-term sidekick who has been around for like 15 years. She has helped keep me sane. This is Robin Nesbitt. She is one of our corporate safety service officers. The next individual, not in order of age anymore, would be our Fire and Safety Administrative Assistant, and that is Ashley Ferguson.
Welcome.
Ashley has been with me for just about 7 years now. And lastly, I would like to introduce you to our new safety officer who just started with us on Monday. This is Mr. Chris Knibbs.
Chris, welcome. How have the first 4 days been? Good. I bet. Okay. Thank you and welcome to.
Thank you all for letting us come, and thanks to my team. Have a good meeting.
Excellent. Thank you, Sherry. I'm going to suggest we move back to our the agenda we were previously on and move to Joint Services Committee 10.3. Matt, you've got some comments or a presentation for us in there.
Yeah, so our last joint services meeting was very interesting. We had a very informative information session from Dr. Vanderland in town. We had EMS in attendance, and it was a real downer, actually, of a meeting when it comes to healthcare in the region. It was no good news at all. One of the topics that Dr. Vanderland talked about was our maternity clinic in town, which previous to 2021, the Palliser Primary Care Network funded. But as a cost-cutting measure, that funding was removed. So, you know, the doctors in town have had to kind of scramble and try to find a way to keep that going. During the meeting, the most recent invoice for the clinic was presented to Joint Services to consider covering the costs of. The committee did approve covering the cost of that, and then looking forward, the pitch was made to municipalities in the region to contribute up to 48 cents per capita to keep this thing going, and for us to also, as a council, approach the Minister of Health and lobby for the province to fund the service that they're responsible to fund. So we talk about human capital and attracting people to the region and making our region a place that people want to be. Pretty hard to do that if you can't have babies. We need people having babies in the region, and we need them to be healthy and taken care of. So that is in front of council for consideration. First, the funding of 48 cents per capita, and then also the recommendation to include this in your lobbying efforts, beginning with a letter that we'll draft to the minister from the Reeve.
Thank you, Matt. Holly, please.
Oh, I think it's bizarre with all the money they put into health that we're not being funded. I will make the motion that we fund the 48 cents per capita towards the Brooks Maternity Clinic.
And also
that you will write a letter.
Advocacy with regard to that, so
exactly.
a single motion. Comment or question, Kelly, go ahead, please.
Yeah, question. You mentioned 40 cents per capita. I think it's 48 cents. Okay, 48 cents. And Matt, the question that I have is, at Joint Services, it was 40 cents per capita. Was that bad math? Because now today it's 48 cents per capita.
Well, I think it was good math because it was pretty close, right? It was back of the napkin math, and you know, subsequent, I'm sure the population numbers from the most recent census, and you know, they got exact. They were in the ballpark.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Lynette, please.
Just further to our conversation from earlier, is this a privately run clinic or is this run through the province?
Oh, now you're testing my understanding of it, Kelly.
Go ahead.
I can answer that. It is public, and the doctors take turns rotating through, and billing goes through Alberta Health Services as normal. It is not private.
As part of the hospital. Yeah, that's right. Any further comments or questions? Ready for the question? All in favor of the motion, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. Move on to item 10.3.1. No, 10.4. Requests for function of council. Does anyone have requests? I have a couple, but anyone else have requests for function of council? Go ahead, Ellen.
I'm wondering, I wasn't one of them, but I know several people served breakfast for the rodeo, and I wonder if that should be a function of council. At 6 o'clock in the morning, starting serving breakfast, I think I would like to see that being a motion of council.
Thank you, Ellen. Any further opinions on that? There was a few of us that were participating. I think go ahead, Kelly, you have a perspective.
I have an opinion. It's in the past been community service, and it's been voluntary. It's a PR situation. Mileage, your expense in would be covered because that's an out-of-pocket expense, but I see some snickers, but I'm just sharing what it's been in the past.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Ellen, go ahead.
And again, that's well said in the past, but I think you know, especially with the fuel cost as well. But it takes a significant period of time out of your day. And again, I was not part of it, so I thought I'd be the one to bring it up. And I feel like it is a very good thing to do. And I think it should be paid for. That's what I believe, and I'm gladly will make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Any more comments? Neil, please. And then
Yeah,
Greg.
I agree that it should be paid. You're up at 6 in the morning, representing the county. You wouldn't be there if you weren't on council. I support Ellen's motion.
Okay, Greg?
Being a person that was at the pancake breakfast, I didn't even think to expense it, to tell you the truth. And I think it's, you know, there's a number of things that we do as council members in and outside of our divisions. And like parade, being part of the parade and things like that. Would we do that if we were not council members? Probably not. I treat it as a volunteer thing, and I pick and choose whether I do it or not because I'm being paid or anything, but it's, I like the volunteerism part of it. So I would probably not expense it anyway.
Go ahead, Ellen, and then Dan.
And that is always an option, of course, if councillors feel very passionate about it, you certainly could write it down as a no charge, but I feel like there should be an option that one get paid for this.
Thank you, and I appreciate both of those perspectives too. Dan, you had a comment?
Yeah, I feel like that falls into that $1,000 a month we get for community involvement and as such. I don't really think it needs to be an extra charge, and I'm perfectly okay volunteering my time for it as well. But I appreciate it for sure.
And I'm the same. I don't think about that really, but I appreciate the fact that we are thinking about it because it is the mileage particularly is an expense and about twice as much as it used to be. But that's fine. Holly.
I'm good with no charge, but I just wanted to say that we looked really good in our aprons, and I think it represents the county well. The city, you know, they couldn't compete.
Well, and I had a lot of fun in the parade with Ellen's fancy car, which I very much appreciated. Amanda's fancy car. I'm sorry. It was fun, but I kind of think next year the county should put a float in, and we could all be on it. Think of all the candy we could throw off. Anyway, that's fine. We have a motion on the floor. All in favor of the motion, please indicate. Opposed? That's defeated. Thank you for that. We'll carry on. I have a couple of functions of council and really looking for council's direction on this. I have gotten 2 invitations to attend functions in Calgary during Calgary Stampede Week. One is a reception with Brownlee. You know, we attend those periodically, and the second one, they're an afternoon and the next day, so they're a day apart, and an ATCO show jumping session. Neither of them are exchangeable. Like I suppose they're inviting mayors and reeves, so I have the invitations. How do you want it? Do you want representation there, there is some expense involved in that, and I'm not like I have accepted, and I'm not saying that to put, you know, to say we need to cover the cost. I'm just asking for your direction on that. Neil?
I think we all got the Brownlee one.
Oh, did you? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so if 2 or 3 want to go, I don't have a problem with it. I'm not going to put my name down, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. I've got mixed feelings on it, really. I'm not asking for personally necessarily for an order or a function of council, but I think how do we deal with those kinds of things? There are some of them that there's some value in being there. I'm not sure the Brownlee one is a priority. The ATCO one might probably see a broader group of people there, maybe. I don't know. Go ahead.
I was thinking the same about the Thursday and Friday, but the Thursday is also county council day. It's Thursday, Friday, isn't it you're talking about?
That's right. Yeah.
The 7th is county council, if that's going to cause a conflict. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. That's right. Good point, yeah. Okay, if there's no direction, we'll carry on. I'm not, are there any requests for function of council? Matt, please.
I think one to just draw your attention to if you like to golf and are on the greens. There's a deadline to sign up tomorrow. There's an invitation here attached in the agenda from RMA District 5 golf tournament. So we wanted to get that in front of you for consideration.
Holly, please.
Sorry, Arno, I would support the 7th was the point I was trying to make. I wasn't really clear on that. That if you want to go to the Brownlee one, I think that would be a function of council. That I wasn't clear what I was trying to say.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, unless we have a motion, we'll just leave it at this point as far as I'm concerned. But
Well, I would make a motion that the Brownlee barn burner one is a function of council.
For anyone on council. Yeah, okay. Any further discussion? Lynette, you had a comment? Okay. All in favor of the motion that the Brownlee function become a function of council, please indicate. Carried. That is carried. Opposed? Okay, that's carried with opposition. Thank you. You had another comment?
Well, your meeting today needs to be a function of council. Do we need to make that motion too?
Thank you for that. Yes. Can you make that motion? Okay. All in favor that today's meeting for Kelly and myself be a function of council? That is carried. Thank you. Anything else in that area? RMA golf tournament. What do we want to do there? That's in Beaver County, which it's a long way if you leave heading south, but it's not as far if you head north, right? But any direction with regard to that one? Seeing none, we'll carry on. Mark Harbrink, item number 11, municipal services business, a field day.
Good morning, council. So today you get the opportunity to decide whether you would like to travel with staff on a lovely tour of the County of Newell. We will be focusing hopefully on the northwest sector of the county. We have done this in the past. COVID obviously shut us down for a couple of years due to gatherings and close proximity. However, we did get back on track last year. And with that, we are looking to see if council is interested in securing a day in September as proposed in here. Don't know what council's preferred date or what date would work, but we are looking towards September 13th if that's possible. If not, September 15th would be great. But if there are other alternate dates that are more suitable to council, we have some lead time to be able to work with the 10 of you.
Thanks, Mark. First, Greg, and then Adina.
Yeah, I know on the Tuesday, I'm interested in going. And I know on the Tuesday, the 13th, there's joint services that day. So that would take out 3 of us anyway. And the 15th will work.
Thank you, Adina. Yeah.
Also for me, I was going to say the September 15th is best for myself.
Okay.
So that looks like it's a...
Do you make a motion that we...
I'd like to make a motion that we do a tour on September 15th.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. You'll be coming up to the northwest segment of the county, which will be our area, Kelly and my area. Yeah, that's good.
We will provide, there were some highlights as part of this, if you read them, but we will provide a complete itinerary on when we plan to leave and confirm exact plans with this, because this is just a high level look at the opportunity. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark. That completes your agenda item. At this point, we'll move back to item 8.2, a letter from the and a clerk, and I think a presentation, but don't see anyone here. Has that been changed, or is it? In the interim, let's move to committee reports, please. And we'll move first of all to, actually, Diane? No, Diane's not here. Okay. Actually, Stuart, you're here. Are you ready to go 15 minutes early? Okay. Please take the floor, Stuart, and item number 8.3. Welcome this morning. Patricia Fire Hall.
Thank you very much, through the chair to Reid and Council. Thanks for having us in this morning. We've worked very feverishly here over the last month, and hopefully we have some good results here this morning for you. So during our May 19th council meeting, I presented that the Patricia Fire Hall tender results. The project was approved to proceed on the condition that the outcome of the discussion with our low bid Armor Building Systems regarding the alternative approach to construction would result in cost savings that would ensure that the project come in at a cost of $1.632 million plus a 10% contingency. The motion was approved at that meeting, and we went back to work with Luna and Armor went back to work, and a lot of different areas were identified. In my request for decision, I have 6 different areas that came back to us for questions on whether we wanted to have that change happen or not. And it was, wood framing to the steel structure. It was our concrete curb that goes around the building. Did it need to be 24 inches high? Could we lower it as low as 6, which I think we settled out at 12? Do we paint the overhead doors, or do we leave them the way they are and have a cost savings that way? Different things like sump location, floor plans. And I just named a few, and behind the scenes, I'm sure Luna had a bunch more technical type things that she was dealing with to try and get our costs down as far as possible. So after reviewing the proposal changes, we have confirmed that they do not compromise any of the desired outcome of the structure, and we did approve those changes that were brought to us. So Armor's been notified by their supplier that there will be a significant increase in steel. This is just to let you know, as of July 1st. Before we, I guess I'll do my options and my request, and then I'll let Luna do her report if that's
sure, please.
Appropriate. Okay, perfect. So we have a couple options today. Authorize proceeding with the construction of the Patricia Fire Hall by Armor Building Systems based on the change orders and reducing that cost from $2.17 million to $1.626 plus a 10% contingency fund from the Fire Apparatus Fund. Or option number 2, we cancel the project based on the recommendation from myself is to authorize proceedings with the construction of the Patricia Fire Hall for the cost of 1.626 or a construction cost of just a little over $1.1 million.
Thank you, Stuart. Luna, do you have some welcome this morning, and do you have some comments for us with regard to that, please?
Yes, so we did have some slides. I don't know if we're able to put those up on the screen, but thank you for having me back again. I'm here to summarize our progress over the last month. I'll go through some of the details of the cost savings that we have implemented and an overview of the overall cost and schedule implications, as well as the next steps. I have a USB if we I do, yeah.
Got enough to make it work? There we go. All right.
All right. So following our presentation to council on May 14th, we were instructed to take away and review some cost savings with the goal of aligning the construction costs to no more than $1.2 million plus a 10% contingency, resulting in an increase to the overall project budget of no more than $100,000. We've been working with Armor Building Systems, our design team, and the county representatives to identify where those cost savings could be looked at and what makes sense for the county in the long term for this facility. We reviewed every item with every engineer, the architect, and really took a look at what makes sense for the county, realizing that it's not a heavily utilized building, but it does need to meet building code constraints and result in a facility that's going to serve the county for many, many years to come. Some of the major changes that we have recommended includes, from a structural perspective, as Stuart mentioned, changing from a pre-engineered steel type build, or from a wood type building to a pre-engineered steel building, reducing the slab thicknesses and simplifying our foundation systems. We're proposing to change to an alternate insulated metal panel for the exterior of the building, which is locally manufactured. Changing the interior partitions to simplify the details and align it to the fire code requirements for a steel building instead of a wood building. Architecturally, we're proposing to modify the janitors and storage rooms, which will reduce the framing requirements. We identified significant changes to the mechanical systems that will align to some of the simplified building uses and the low use of the doors opening, closing, not that many times in a year, as well as the plumbing and water heating systems and all those systems to really nail down some cost savings from that perspective. We don't anticipate any major changes to the electrical. And then from a furniture, fixtures, and equipment, we worked with Stuart to identify some items that don't necessarily need to be purchased right away and could be procured by the county in a year, 2 years, or whenever there's funding available. So that includes the pressure washer, some curtains between the bays, and some items that we can have the hookups for, but we don't need to purchase them right away. As far as the overall cost impact to the project, so I'm hoping that this table makes it a little bit clearer. I know there was some confusion last month. So the council approved budget is $1.532 million, which a construction cost of just under $1.1 million. Last month, we presented the bid results, which resulted in an overall project budget of, or forecasted cost of $2.1 million. And we're here today with the cost savings implemented, looking at a cost for the overall project of $1,626,000, which results in a construction cost of just north of $1.1 million, and accounting for the recommended contingencies that we would want to have in place before we start construction and all the other costs that come with the project. That results in an additional budget of $94,000 required, as opposed to the $100,000 that we had discussed and was our target based on last month's conversation. In terms of next steps, following council's direction today, we would look to finalize the drawing revisions and resubmit our revised building permit application. We would start working with Armor Building Systems to execute the contract and immediately order the structural steel so that we don't we don't get impacted by the July 1st increases to the steel that have been identified by the supplier. So we're here today looking for council's endorsement to proceed and execute the contract and get the steel ordered so that we avoid further cost escalations. From a schedule perspective, this is kind of hard to see, but we believe that we can work with the team to complete the project with minimal impact to the completion date of construction and turn over the facility in early 2023. So we're looking at February 2023 facility turnover. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Luna. Any questions from council? Ellen, please.
Yeah, I have a question. Since it's a UNESCO site, have there been any grants secured or been any plans been gone towards trying to find some grants from the government?
Thanks, Ellen. Matt, do you have a comment on that?
The funding for the Patricia Fire Hall is scheduled to come out of the Fire Apparatus Fund. There are some grant programs that we've looked into. We considered directing some of our gas tax fund to the project as well, but we did not make that application. So right now it has been planned all along to come from the Fire Apparatus Fund, and over a number of years, the county had socked away funds specifically for the Patricia Fire Hall. I think it was $1 million off the top of my head that was saved specifically for the Patricia Fire Hall.
Thanks, Matt. Further question?
So the answer is no then. Since the UNESCO site is right in the Patricia firefighting area, you would think that the government would have a definite stake and would add some money to that.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd ever put the provincial government in a spot where they'd do anything definitively for grant funding. It's, you know, the thing we have been able to somewhat count on over the years has been the MSI, but even that program has not delivered the funds over the years in the amounts that had originally been contributed to. So, you know, previous council had the foresight to start socking away some money, so that takes the edge off a little bit, but there will be a dipping into that fire apparatus fund to make up the difference.
Okay. Thank you. Kelly?
No, I appreciate the work, Stuart, that you and Luna have put towards this project. You've heard council, you've responded to council in a downward fashion. And so I would like to make a motion that we proceed with the purchase and construction of this building by Armor at the 1.62 thousand plus 10% contingency as recommended. Option 1.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. We have a motion on the floor. A few comments or questions. Holly, please.
Just when it said that I'm not voting in favor, as last time the same, I still believe that though Patricia needs something better, we could have something more affordable.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Dan, please.
Yeah, I had a question about if this amount of money is coming out of the fire apparatus fund, what are we sacrificing to pay for this? Is there still going to be enough to buy new equipment when we need it, or are we depleting that fund, or is there a lot in there?
Thanks, Dan. Matt, can you comment on that?
Yeah, I can pop up what the balance in that fund is. Just give me a brief moment.
Dan, go ahead and interrupt.
Just a quick comment in between. While I can appreciate having nice things, having good equipment, good infrastructure is hugely important, and for this fire hall, and indeed it's also really important. I can appreciate all that, and good things cost money, for sure. I'm having a really tough time with this one because I do believe this objective could have been reached with a much lower price tag. I really don't feel that it should have costed 1.6, and it's frustrating that I went from 1.1 or 1 million to 1.5 to 2.1, and now miraculously down to just about exactly the 1.626 that we had asked them to get it down to. And now there's a contingency fund. I don't know. That's government spending for you, but it's not a very comfortable feeling for me.
Okay, thanks. Dan, Matt, please.
Yeah, so at the end of 2021, we were at just over 4.4 million in the fire apparatus fund.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Neil, you had a comment?
Yeah, I agree with Kelly's motion. I mean, we approved this last meeting subject to them going back and carving off some more costs. They came in exactly where we were hoping they would. So it's pretty tough to not go with this motion.
Thanks, Neil. Greg, please.
Yeah, I think it's one of those necessary evils that we need to recommend and I'll be voting for it. And the reason is because we do have a significant UNESCO site at Denister Provincial Park that we are responsible for in our firefighting, and it's important to have the apparatus available. The existing building that's there has outlived its use, and it can't store the equipment that we need out there, and it's just one of those things that it's necessary to go ahead with, and that's why I'll be voting for it.
Thank you. Ellen, go ahead, please.
I'm a little bit confused. I thought at the last meeting when the motion was made, it was going to be built for $1.1 million plus contingency fund. So I'm not quite sure what happened. Am I seeing things differently?
I'll ask for clarification. Thank you, Ellen, but I think there's some additional engineering costs included in the total, because I think the 1.626 is a total, right? But go ahead and please explain that.
Yeah, so that's why I included this table, because I know last month we were, discussing the construction costs, but there's the overall budget which includes engineering, design, and everything, right? So what we had been taking away last month was the 1.1 million construction cost plus the 10% contingency, resulting in an overall increase to the whole budget of no more than $100,000. I do want to point out this 1,626,000 that we're saying does include the 10% contingency that we would want to have as we start construction for any unforeseen items that may happen and come up during construction.
Thank you, Luna. Holly, go ahead.
But you've also said that some things are not being purchased now and will be purchased when they're available, such as some pressure pumps and curtains. So what is that amount of money you still want to buy later?
Those were things that we felt in discussions with Stuart that don't need to be purchased as part of the project and could be purchased years down the road if there's operational funding, like pressure washer, not pressure pumps, not the mechanical systems, but just some of the items that would facilitate the activities that are happening by the firefighters in the facility, but are not needed as part of the project.
But the monetary amount is?
No, we've cut that out. Yes.
Well, I'm asking that. Okay, Stuart, how much money is that you still want for those things?
Through the chair to Councillor Johnson, I don't have a good answer for you on that right now. Unfortunately, I didn't calculate that out to this morning. I would like to think at the end of the day, we're not talking, hundreds of thousands of dollars to get things done. But, as a simple thing like a pressure washer is roughly, anywhere between $15,000 to $30,000 type deal or something like that. And they would be small items that we would try and grab through our operational year to year, and hopefully without coming to council asking for additional funds for operation to do it. We would just try and work that over the next, 3 to 5 years through our regular budgets and not come to council about that. If I can make a comment about the curtains, I've never been in favor of the curtains. We probably never would put the curtains up. So I just know that was mentioned. So those are cost savings that I think are nice to have. They're extravagant, but we definitely probably wouldn't put them in there just simply because I don't think there's a need or a necessity to do that. And if I'm being honest here, I've worked really, really hard through this whole project to try and keep everything as basic and as cost efficient as I possibly could. So, and I think we were lucky enough to have one group come in, even though they were higher, much lower than the other bids. So, and it was great that they came back to us saying they had that savings and gave us that savings that could happen. So,
thank you. Matt, did you have a comment, please?
I think just to close the book on it, I think a short way to ask the question is, council approves proceeding with it today. You probably aren't going to see Stuart trying to sneak in a whole bunch of things into the 2023 budget to get the rest of the project done, is what I'm hearing out of Stuart today. So, and even if Stu does try and sneak those things in, we'll suss them out and make sure we're not going there, kind of a thing. So I appreciate the work that you've done on this. I know it's been a lot of extra work trying to come in, especially in the environment that we're in with inflationary pressures, and appreciate that we're trying to get this passed before prices increase again.
Okay, thanks. Are there any other questions of council? Ready for the question? We have a motion. Yeah, we have a motion on the floor. Any other comments? All in favor, please indicate. Opposed? That's carried with the opposition. Thank you. Thank you. Was there a question in the back? Please introduce yourself. This is uncommon, but come to the,
I'm Jason with Armor Building.
Okay.
The direct answer to the question of how much is in the items that could be picked up in the future is less than $60,000. The indirect answer is that is our cost as a business after we purchase some of it from sub-trades and they mark it up and we mark it up. A large chunk of it is the curtains that, speaking as a firefighter in Patricia, we don't care and will never be opened. One of the major items is the hot seat, which is significantly cheaper if the county purchases it and installs it themselves, rather than having 2 to 3 levels of markup applied to it. So the long answer is you're looking at probably less than $30,000 for the extra items.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Stuart and Luna. Thank you all. Thank you, Council. Let's go back to committee reports, please. Item number 12, Brooks Regional Tourism Committee. Anita, do you have we have printed reports on all of these that are listed. Are there, how do we handle these typically? Do we need to have a motion on each one, or I think we can kind of go through them in summary. Do you have more to add to the report than has been presented, Adina? Any questions for Adina? Seeing none, thank you. And let's move on to convention in Regina. Ellen, you have a report for us with regard to the FCM convention. I think there's a printed report as well. Do you have anything else to add?
I certainly could, but I'd like the other people first a chance because we went to sometimes different tours, we went to different speakers, so they might have something to add as well, and I can certainly add something later beside my submitted report.
Sure, appreciate that, Ellen. Lynette or Neil?
I submitted a written one that Ariana put in here, so you might have to refresh your agenda to be able to see mine now too. But no, I don't really have more to add to that. So
Okay.
unless Neil's got something else.
Thank you. Neil? Thanks.
No, those reports pretty well have it all, but that's a fairly powerful conference because it encompasses all of Canada. Like you're in the room with Mr. Trudeau got a applause, Mr. Singh got an applause, and the Conservative guy got an applause, which is kind of odd. But no, I think it's a fantastic convention to go to, and we should support it like crazy. There's a lot of federal money out there, and there's a lot of federal politicians banging at the door, more so than at RME.
Great, yeah, okay. No,
So
that's
it was great.
good, thank you. Holly, you have a question, and then I'll go back to Ellen, please.
So Alan, whatever you sent out as an email, I couldn't open that, whatever that was. It was the same report or it was something else, I don't know. And Neil, who was the Conservative guy? If you gave Trudeau and Singh names, who was the guy?
Andrew Scheer. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Ellen, did you have some more to add, please?
Yes, we, some of us went on a tour, Neil and I, and it was to a landfill. And this landfill had 53 active wells that were right on the whole landfill, and you can't call it methane gas, but it's called landfill gas because it's mostly methane gas. And they're actually capturing that, and they warm 1,000 homes with it, and it was absolutely fascinating. I know you were there as well, Neil. I don't know if you have anything to add. Was that not a wonderful tour that we went on? A little windy that day, but
No, it was excellent the way they recovered the gas and produce electricity and actually make a little bit of money off the landfill. It was cool.
Good. Thank you. With that, we'll move on to, or did you have more, Ellen? Go ahead.
I got to go on one more tour quickly. It was called, now I don't know if I pronounced this right, Mama Vaya Tatan Center, which is unique to, or which is the first one integrated service in one central place. And they bring people together to connect, learn, play, and develop skills and celebrate culture. So the walls of the building were chosen by the elders, very vivid colors, I may add. The building includes a high school, a library, community police center, a gymnasium, a community center, and it even includes an elders room, which was another fantastic thing to see. Outdoor has a garden, a basketball court, a soccer pitch, a cultural space, and elements from indigenous traditions. So this is the first in Saskatchewan, and they showcased that whole center, which was really interesting to see. I think it left some to be desired, but it is fairly new. So, and it's first of its kind in Canada. I stand corrected.
Thank you. Thank you for that report. Any questions with regard to the convention? If not, sounds like it has some value for us, and it is something that we will continue to participate in the future. Let's move on to FCSS. Adina, please. You've provided a report again. Any other further comments or questions for Adina? Seeing none, we'll move on to libraries. Lynette, anything further to add? Any questions? Thank you. Oh, Holly, please.
I'm not sure answer this question, Lynette, or maybe Kelly can, but I had a question from someone if the funding from Patricia goes, like per capita, goes to the Duchess Library or the Brooks Library, and I did not know the answer.
Kelly, you have the answer to that, please?
Yes, per capita funding for Patricia goes to the Duchess Library.
Thank you for that. Amanda, you have provided a report for the Newell Housing. Anything else to add to that? No, any questions? Thank you, Amanda. Palliser Economic Partnership, again, Holly, you've provided a report. Anything to add or any questions for Holly? Seeing none, we'll move on to Safe Communities. Again, Amanda, anything to add? No, or questions? Holly, go ahead, please.
Are we going to be seeing any safe community in specific, like hamlets? I see lots in the schools, but are we doing anything in hamlet at all?
That's something I'm working with, getting the rule a little more involved out there. So that's something that we're working with.
Thank you for that. Kelly, you have provided a report on the small town smoke down barbecue competition. Yeah. Anything else to add or any questions? Sounds like a success. With that, we have a few other committee reports. Joint Services. Greg, you had a report or some discussion for us.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to make a small report regarding Joint Services. Report by Dr. Van der Linde was rather a downer for the entire meeting, and it didn't really paint a rosy picture for the state of our services, health services in the area. A couple of takeaways was the need for the maternity funding, which we dealt with today. And the other big takeaway from his presentation was the nursing shortages in the area, and that is an immediate concern. We have many other shortages, but the nursing is the one that we really need to work with. So no real direction on that as how to do that, but he just wanted us to make aware of it and wanted us to lobby for something to improve with that. The other thing, that's it with Dr. Van der Linde's presentation. The other thing that I wanted to bring up from Joint Services was the branding change that we voted for Brooks Region to be changed to Brooks Newell Region. Did go through. So we're really happy with that. So yay, we accomplished something.
Great, thanks. Greg, question, comment from Medina?
So I'm just curious then, because I noticed Mitch, when he sent out that email yesterday, it still had the Brooks region on it. I know it's not really a big deal, but when is he going to start using the different brand?
It'll be soon. They're going to be changing the branding as we go on the websites and on their stuff. It's going to be, can I give you a date? No. They are going to be slowly working through their printed material and things like that. They need to start printing new material, so that'll have the new brand on it. So it's not an immediate thing, but yeah, he should be starting to use the new brand. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, Greg. Any other comments or questions? That's good. Thanks for that report. Oh, Neil, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I forgot this before. Just hats off to Holly and the PEP team. Like that $30,000 to Sprague's Meats is more than any of the rest of us on the other committees have managed to drag up. So great work, guys.
Okay, thank you for that. That completes your report, Greg. So the other one is Shortgrass Library Board. Is that included in the previous one? Okay, that's good. Thanks. So just for clarification. And then Dan, you had a report for the Rolling Hills Advisory Board meeting that I think was last night, right?
It was last night. Mostly just to give you a bit of a heads up of what might be coming our way down the road. And some of the things that came out of the meeting. We were talking about the sewer upgrades that eventually need to happen in Rolling Hills. And the one comment was about how that shouldn't be a local improvement tax, and that if all of the taxpayer dollars go to fund a big building in here, then all of the tax dollars should go to fund the sewer in Rolling Hills. No one agreed with that at the time. But just that kind of thought process is out there. Another comment was about the Hayes Bridge, the traffic that's on it. I told him that's a provincial matter, but that we have the potential to lobby the government for change and upgrades and updates to that bridge. They were kind of interested in pursuing that. Okay. So another big one is the safety of the citizens on the streets. Some folks are letting their kids run around the streets everywhere, young kids. There's a lot of concern about the dangers. We're working on how do we do some kind of a public awareness campaign to make sure that everyone knows to keep their kids safe. I mean, it's pretty much a no-brainer, but yet what's happening. So we're trying to see if we can get municipal enforcement down there a little more often, maybe RCMP, maybe work with safe communities to come in and help out. Or it's kind of an odd one because everybody knows you don't let your kids crawl around on the roads, but yet kids are crawling around on the roads. So working on that. There's a street lighting issue in Rolling Hills. Again, that's going to be costly. They're looking at, do they want to improve it? Do they want to leave it the way it is? I think according to what Scandia had happened, we're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars to upgrade lighting, which gets, of course, that's really expensive. Sewer upgrades, we're looking at 2012 dollars, $4.7 million to upgrade that. And they want a dog park, but I told them best thing to do is make up some kind of a proper proposal and bring it in and see what funds are available to help out and what they can contribute to it. And there was concerns about communication and transparency with the advisory boards and the council. They don't know if we're actually doing what they want and whatnot. So I told them I'm going to work on communicating better with them and getting them more of a feel for what they want. So that's basically what took us 3 hours last night to figure out.
Thanks, Dan. Any questions? Kelly, please go ahead.
Just a quick question. Did you have county staff supporting you?
We had our CAO, we had municipal services, and we had ag services.
You were well equipped.
Mm-hmm.
Good deal.
They took a lot of hard questions for us.
Thank you. Any other questions? So that brings us to the end of our committee reports. Everyone's seen those. Do we need I think we accept that or take that for information and activity. Further to that, we'll move on to item number 11. Sorry, it's right in front of me. 14, information items. You've all seen the information items that have been presented in our agenda package. Any questions or comments around any of that? Holly, please.
I'd asked for a discussion on the light catch, de-risk the local crime rate. Just a discussion. It's apparently free, and I don't believe that we have a crime problem in the county, but I do know counties that do have a crime problem, and once it moves in, you cannot get rid of it. So I'm wondering if that's something to look at as just kind of get an assessment, or maybe know more about this light catch. Anybody familiar with it?
I have viewed the information package there, but I don't have more information. Matt, do you have any comments on that? Or
I had shared this with Mark. We get these, I call these phishing letters looking for support for their business or application kind of a thing. So you can definitely get buried, and some of them may have some meaningful applications, some may not. Around here, crime rates are reported to council through the RCMP. The RCMP tracks it, so we kind of leave it to them. If there's something compelling about the light catch, we could certainly set our staff loose on investigating it if that's direction from council.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I think we will move on. We do have in camera, but we'll handle that towards the end of the meeting. Oh, Holly, did you have another question or comment?
I had payment register to council. We have a payment for land acquisition for about 28,000. I was asking Matt what that was in regards to.
Okay, yeah, please, Matt.
I've been able to track it down, and it's for road improvements on Range Road 16-4.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, we will move back to item number 8.4. Deborah Reid-Mickler, you were here a little early, and we'll take your presentation ahead of the appointed time, if you're good with that. Welcome to our meeting. We do have your letter, and you have a presentation to make to us with regard to that. Please.
Not so much of a presentation. Thank you for hearing me today. As you know, Deborah Reid-Mickler. I'm from Deputy Mayor now from the village of Duchess. Don't know if that means anything, but what this is relating to is in the fall of last year, I started taking part in a series of engagements that were being done by the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Rural Economic Development, that's Minister Horner's ministry, to do with forwarding the cause of rural economic development. So they did a whole series of engagement sessions, which I was in part of. This culminated in their initial setting of a list of priorities, which is what you have in front of you today. I will be attending in person next week in Lethbridge, where they are going to do a deeper dive into these subjects and topics. And what I wanted, I've been reaching out to all of our communities to get some feedback of anything that people wanted me to take to the table, because I'm more than happy to take issues and concerns and ideas to the table. You'll see that they've got infrastructure, they've got business investments, business supports, business investment, and also recruitment, worker retention, that sort of thing as highlighted priorities. So because my weak area is agriculture, I'm learning fast, as Councillor Johnson will tell you. I ask a lot of questions. But I felt as we had a lot of agricultural experts in this room, I would reach out to you and ask you for any feedback. Now, I'm obviously not expecting you to come up with all these ideas today. As I said, the meeting is scheduled for next week, and I'm more than happy for you to chew this over. And if there's anything, you can reach out to me. I'm sure CEO Fensky is happy to pass anything along, or he's welcome to share my contact information with you. So that is what it's all about. It is an ongoing process. They are, and I'm going to look this up because, of course, the government has come up with an acronym. They are trying to develop what they call the EDRAP. I'll just leave that right there. But basically, it is going to be a working paper on developing policies for the future of rural economic development. And so they're taking all this input and creating this policy document. One of the areas that we're very keen to push, I will tell you that's come out of some of our other meetings, is this concept of inter-ministry partnerships that support our needs out in the rurals. Because what we find often is one ministry is doing something and another ministry is doing something completely different. And the impact on rural communities is often negative. So we've been pushing for that too and advocating for that. And actually that has come to fruition. I'm not sure if Councillor Johnson mentioned this, but we have had very good feedback when we met with the ministers last month from Palliser Economic Partnership. It sounds as if we're going to get the reader money back. And in addition to that, additional funding money. And the way they're doing that is one ministry is doing one thing, and Jobs, Economy and Innovation is going to be funding the base money. agriculture, forestry, and rural economic development are going to be funding the project side of that. So the advocacy is working, and we want to do more of that. So that's all I have for you today. It was really just reaching out and saying, look, I want to represent all of us when I go to these meetings. I also serve on Alberta Municipalities Economic Strategy, so this ties into that. And again, even though we're Alberta municipalities and RMA, we all need to work together to make rural success and growth happen for all of us. So thank you for hearing me, and I'm happy to take any questions, but I would be happy, please feed anything back to me, even if it's a short phone call or an email. I'm more than happy to take that material.
Thank you for that, Deborah. Appreciate you coming in this morning. Are there any questions or comments? Neil, please.
Yeah, do you work with Mitch Iwasa much?
I do. I know Mitch is, he says he's planning to attend next week. They were a bit not sure who was going and who had time. I know they have some very specific questions that they're going to be, and issues they're bringing forward on tourism. So because I wear the Palliser hat as well, I also want to bring in that agricultural side when I go to this.
No, that's great. Just, I mean, joint services, economic development, this is pretty much an overlap of exactly what they're after too. So if the two of you were pulling the same direction, it would be great, and I'm sure you are.
Yeah, I do talk to Mitch quite often, and try and keep him in the loop on what Palliser's doing, and overlap with joint services. It's work.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, I will reiterate that we will either contact you directly or through Matt prior to, if there are further suggestions. And thank you for coming in.
You're very welcome. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
And I'm now rushing off down to Medicine Hat to meet with the Minister of Health Services. So if you've got any health issues, text me on my drive.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to direct our attention back to item number 8.2, request for appointment of county representative to the Brooks and District Health Foundation. I think that we don't have a presentation from Diane de Klerk, but we have seen a letter. Matt, do you have an update or anything further on that?
Yeah, so I know Ariana's been contacting Diane throughout the meeting here, and it sounds like she got diverted today. Is it the second meeting in July? She's available now, Ariana, if we wanted to table this again till then.
Okay, we have Kelly, you've got some direction for us?
Unless council wants to wait, I stand by my decision that I would not be interested in getting paid for this position or representing the county on the Health Foundation board. I am a volunteer at the Bassano Health Foundation and have been for a number of years, and I do believe that those positions should remain as volunteer position. That's just my shtick on it. And I would encourage any member from council to get involved. Typically, Health Foundation work is around fundraising for building materials. Most recently, Bassano purchased blinds and an X-ray machine for infant babies and Tree of Hope materials. So it's all about supporting the building and the health profession. So I am fine not to, I would vote against a motion for somebody from council to sit on the foundation.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. And Ellen, I think you had some more information and clarification with regard to your role and experience at Brooks Health Foundation previously, right?
Yeah, I did not represent council, but they would like to have, at the time when we both started at the same time, Dan Klein from the city and myself were approached by the board, the health board, Health Foundation, and they just like to have, I guess, two counselors on. They thought it would be productive, since we come with some knowledge to the table from our own areas and our own fields. And so I was never appointed by council. I was always an elected official there, but just in a voluntary position. And just a little bit further to your point, Kelly, is it's not just building fundraising. It is a lot of fundraising for example, incubators for babies. It may be that a physician or specialist asks for special equipment that they need for surgeries and so on, that Alberta Health will not supply, and then they will not, the specialist will not come to the Brooks Hospital if certain materials and equipment is not available. So it's a lot of fundraising.
Okay, thank you, Ellen, for that. And I suppose that any one of us could serve on that on a voluntary basis if we want to. And seeing if there's no direction with regard to this, or I guess the question is, do we want to delay discussion on this for after a time when Diane, the clerk, would attend at a meeting, or do we have a direction prior to that? Dan, please.
I agree with what you're saying, Kelly, but it's not going to hurt us to wait until she's available and hear her out and make her decision after that. So I'd make a motion that we table this until the time when she is available.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor of tabling this till a further date, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Councillors, it is now 5 to 12 and we're down to our in-camera session. So a motion that we move in camera would be in order. Holly, please. All in favor that we move into camera? That's carried. Sorry.